Hey guys, and welcome to an unboxing video of the InWin 301C RGB microATX case. Right, so as some of you might have surmised, I got this case for a Ryzen 5 3600 build that I'll be putting together for my own use at home. Now this is one of the rare times that I'm actually using a case that isn't a Cooler Master. I've pretty much been a Cooler Master guy since I started building new PCs as they're cheap and good. This time around, however, I decided to treat myself and get a slightly pricier case. Now I got this case online in Singapore during a flash sale for about 104 Singapore dollars, which is round about 76 US dollars. The last I checked, this case can be bought from Amazon for 82 US dollars. Now let's have a brief look at the specs over by the side. Now as you can see, its physical dimensions are 365mm by 188mm by 370mm. Looks like they're missing an M over here, but in any case, it comes in black or white. I've got the black variant over here. And it's also made of SECC steel and has a tempered glass side panel. Now one thing to note here is that the box isn't accurate. Here it states that it comes with two USB 3.0 front ports, when in reality, this updated version that I have, the 301C RGB, actually also includes a front USB 3.1 Type-C connector, so do bear that in mind. Alright, so that's the specs for this case. Let's take a look at the actual case itself. Okay, so sit rep. The case is out of the box, and first impressions, wow. I wasn't expecting InWin to be using a cloth bag for the case, but here it is. I was really expecting a cheap clear plastic bag, the kind that we're used to whenever you buy, say, a Cooler Master case or any other old case for that matter, but yeah, it's a very good first impression. Quick peek at the case inside. Let's get this cloth bag out of the way and take a closer look at the case, shall we? Okay, so here it is, the InWin 301C RGB microATX case in the flesh. First impressions, it looks great and feels rather solidly built. As with new PC cases nowadays, InWin has chosen to do away with an optical drive bay, and that creates a really nice front fascia that is very clean in its appearance. The 301C RGB is termed the RGB as the InWin logo, as well as the surrounds of the audio ports and the USB ports, are backlit with RGB LEDs and can therefore be controlled by a motherboard RGB header. Looking at it as such, I can already tell that the RGB effect is going to look pretty good. Over by the side, you can see that the side panel has this very nice honeycomb mesh design, which I presume is to help with the front air intake should you choose to install 120mm fans behind this front panel. Now this is likely because of the fact that the front panel has no air intake openings, which I guess as a result InWin has had to put this air intake on the side panel instead. Now the side panel is held in place by thumb screws, which are a very nice touch. And once you pop off the side panel, you can see that the edges are lined with this foam backing, foam padding, and I guess presumably this is probably to prevent rattles and to deaden the noise somewhat that might be created by this side panel. Since we've got the side panel off, let's have a closer look at the front panel connectors. Apart from your usual hard disk LED connectors, reset switch, power switch, HD audio, USB 3 connectors, you also do get a 12V RGB connector, which is used to power the RGB lighting for the front fascia. You also do get a front USB 3.1 Type-C connector. Now, although I think that this is indeed a nice feature to have, it might be a little bit of a white elephant, and this is because of the fact that I've yet to come across a motherboard with a suitable front USB-C header on board. I do wonder though if there's another way for me to use this feature, so if you guys have any ideas, feel free to leave suggestions and comments through the comment section down below. Up top is a single 3.5-inch drive bay, and down below, two 2.5-inch drive bays. To the right, naturally, is a space for you to mount your power supply unit, and this channel here is for you to hide and route your SATA cables, power cables, and what have you through this gap here and onto the motherboard. Now, I'd like to spend a little bit of time to talk about what, in my opinion, is a design flaw that should have been rectified, as it seems to have been carried over from the older 301. Over here, you can see these tab-like things that are made of plastic. I've had a closer look at them, and they're actually pretty solid, so it doesn't look like they're meant to be breakable or removable for that matter. Now, but from what I understand from 301 users is that they have had to break these plastic tabs so as to be able to run their SATA cables down and through here and to connect to the motherboard. Now, I'm not exactly sure what InWin was thinking about when they designed this, but I would have dearly liked to have seen a better way to execute this portion here. I mean, they could have put in removable tabs instead, so that if you were to change the arrangement of your cables in the future, at least it's not an irreversible decision, knowing that you have to break these plastic panels so as to put the cables through. So that's a negative for me on InWin's part. I wish that they had improved on this from the previous 301. Let's take a look at the other side of the case with the tempered glass side panel. Now, as you notice, it's of a toolless design, so there's no screws holding the side panel in place. Instead, what you get is a latch on top. If you'd like to remove the glass side panel, all you've got to do is simply depress the latch like so and pull it off. It comes off with a satisfying click. Conversely, to put it back on, all you've got to do is make sure that the bottom edges align nicely like so, and push it back in, and it snaps right back into place with a satisfying click as well. That click reminds me of the solid thunk that you get when closing the door of, say, a very well-built German saloon car. It is that good. But that being said, I did notice that the panel gaps seemed rather inconsistent. If you can see over here, the gap between the glass and the frame is rather big as compared to the gap over here, which is slightly smaller. I'm not sure if this is a manufacturing defect on InWin's part, but it is something that stood out to me when I was taking a closer look at the case. Taking a closer look at the interior, you'll see that there is a hard disk caddy for your 3.5-inch hard disk, which is removable in the event that you need to do a hot swap for your drive, so that's pretty nifty. And in terms of fan mounting options, you get 5 spaces to mount your fans. You get one 120mm rear exhaust fan, which can be mounted here. You can mount 2 intake fans here, 120mm, 120mm, and in the event that you're not using a 240mm radiator, you can actually mount an additional 2 more front intake fans over here, and that's pretty nifty as well. To help things along in terms of dust proofing your case, InWin does include a removable filter for the bottom part of the case, and it can be removed as such. So that's pretty helpful and useful, especially when you do the occasional spring cleaning for your case. I'd like to talk a little bit about an interesting accessory that InWin has included with the case, and here it is. It's a piece of metal. It's actually an accessory that you can add to the case to prop up your graphics card to prevent it from sagging downwards, which might be an issue especially for heavy graphics cards. Now, how it works is that there are 2 screw holes here, and if you look over here, there are openings in the case. What happens is that you can actually mount this piece of metal like so that it pretty much holds up your graphics card. However, immediately just by looking at this video, you can already tell that there is a problem. It will get in the way of your SATA ports, which makes mounting this in the first place a little bit of a challenge. And now, even if you did manage to mount this arm over here, assuming that maybe your SATA ports on your motherboard are located somewhere else, maybe down here below, another problem that you encounter is that once it's in place, it will very likely obstruct the fan that you have on your graphics card. In this instance, it will very much come into contact with the fan blades on my Asus graphics card, which leads me to question, what's the point of even including this in the first place if it can't be used for most scenarios? I think this is something that InWin could have done better. They could have come up with a better design if they really wanted to help users out with their heavy graphics cards, such as by including like a vertical strut of sorts that can prop up the graphics card with a clamp. I don't know, I mean there's a lot of other ways you can actually execute this, but well, I really think that although this is a nice inclusion, it's very likely going to end up as a white elephant for many users. Finally, let's talk about the accessories pack that comes with the case. InWin provides it in a nice clear plastic Ziploc bag, which is as such. Instead of giving a hard copy manual, what they've done is that they've given this card, which you can see over here, which has a QR code. What you've got to do is that you've got to use your mobile phone, scan the QR code and download a PDF copy of the manual instead. This pack also comes with your usual screws, motherboard standoffs. It also includes that metal arm thing that I spoke about earlier on in the video, which is used to support heavy graphics cards. More screws, rubber washers that serve as a noise dampener, I suppose, cable ties. It also includes this RGB header extender that allows you to connect the RGB lighting on the front fascia to any other RGB accessories that you might be using with your build. So that's a very nice touch. In summary, I think that the InWin 301C RGB case is a great buy, especially for the price that I've paid. It's solidly built and certainly looks the part, especially with the RGB lighting feature on the front fascia. While it does have the shortcomings that I spoke about earlier on in the video, these are shortcomings that I can live with, and I would not hesitate to buy this case again in the future. Alright, thanks for watching, and as a treat, I'll be rounding up this video with some clips of the 301C RGB in action as a finished build.